matchup is actually one that's starting to be a little bit of like a kind of a common matchup. I saw quite a few burn decks actually in the field, and I think we saw a couple of those last week when Patrick Sullivan really kind of brought burn back to the fore with his top 4 finish in the Open in LA.
Well, while we were on break recently, I took a round to see the Legacy Open, and I did see a lot of people playing burn decks, a larger amount than you would think you'd see at an event. But it looks like they're shaking hands.
Yeah. It's actually one of the cheaper decks in the format, since there are no dual lands. There are 12 sack lands, but no dual lands, and there's pretty much no rares outside the Grim Lavamancer's Guides and Sulfuric Vortex.
All right, we see Ali's hand.
It looks like Ali is keeping. Todd's definitely decided to mulligan.
Yeah, that will not help the Rug Delver matchup at all. Rug Delver needs every card it gets for card advantage.
Yeah, one of the things that kind of punctuates this matchup is Price of Progress. Todd Anderson does not have any basic lands in his deck, and obviously Price of Progress is particularly good against decks without basics. The best defense generally that the Rug Delver decks can kind of like mount against the Price of Progress is having a Wasteland ready to waste themselves.
Not often would you see a Wasteland used as a defensive mode, but in this case it definitely is, because otherwise it does nothing. I mean, Ali will not have a land out there that Todd will be able to use the Wasteland on, and it'll be nothing more than just one mana source card.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of colorless cards in the Rug Delver deck. So I mean, colorless mana costs. It's a lot of 1 mana cost stuff. So it really will almost be a mulligan.
Okay. We see Tropic Alliance first turned into Ponder, Force of Will, Daze Island, or
no,
Force of Will,
Daze Nimble Mongoose.
Nimble Mongoose.
Yep. So Todd Anderson does actually have a Wasteland. The Tropical Island is the only colored source he has. He also has a Brainstorm, a Daze, and a Tarmogoyf. So it's possible he may not keep it because he wants to have the land, but he does have a Brainstorm to get further in. So Ali Aintrazi basically gets a Wooded Foothill, sacks it, is finding a mountain. When they sack main phase, it generally means either a Rift Bolt or one of their 2 types of creatures.
And early on, I mean, this was where Todd could use the Force of Will on that Rift Bolt early to prevent that from happening. It is because Todd knows he needs to have time.
Yeah, no, it's possible that if Ali leads with a Goblin Guide or a Lavamancer, I could easily see the Daze come out of Todd's hand just to try and like give himself a little bit more time.
Okay, we see a Chain Lightning.
Yeah, it looks like a Rift Bolt here. I think he'll probably save the Force of Will for one of the more lasting. We get to find out next turn. He doesn't have to actually cast the. He cannot Daze the Rift Bolt because it'll be untapped. He'll be untapped during the upkeep.
Wasteland Tarmogoyf, that'll be a 2/3.
Yeah, one of the interesting things is like the Rift Bolt can't actually go against the Tarmogoyf. There's already a Ponder in the graveyard, so there's actually the funny thing is if Todd chooses to Daze it, it'll actually get bigger and effectively counter the Rift Bolt. But Ali targets Todd. Oh, no.
Targets the Goyf?
No, targets Todd, I think.
Targets Todd, okay.
Yep. Perhaps basically seeing that the Daze is going to actually like save the Tarmogoyf by placing the instant in the graveyard. Lava Spike going into Todd Anderson's head. We also know there's a Chain Lightning in Ali's hand, so it's very possible that he might just go straight chain his opponent right now. Okay, Todd draws the days that we've seen earlier.
And a mongoose.
Really, the Tarmogoyf is not really representing a very, very fast clock here. He's very likely to play a main phase Brainstorm just for the chance of, like, well, one, to make the Tarmogoyf bigger, two, to try and draw another land. He definitely does not have, he's drawn 2 cards, hasn't drawn a land, but he knows he's going to see 3 cards here, enabling him to play maybe the Nimble Mongoose.
And as emphasized by Adrian, main phase Brainstorm is the best time to play it.
So he goes Mongoose instead. Oh, he's going to daze the Mongoose. Oh, this is a very, very tricky play by Todd. He basically allows him to get an instant into the graveyard, as well as giving him an extra green mana, or green or blue mana, which will allow him to Brainstorm.
We have an update from the field. Chiho Yim takes game 1.
Yeah, Chiho Yim is playing countertop. Playing Miracles,
yes,
which is a countertop deck against Stoneblade of Shaheen Sarani. A quick win generally indicates a Entreat the Angels coming quickly for.
We also have another update from the field. David Thomas takes game 1 with Dredge versus Reanimator.
Yeah, well, we generally said that Dredge was going to be the advantage deck in this thing. Reanimator's threats aren't particularly good against Dredge. You can generally attack around them. So back to this match. Ali's at 16, Todd is at 14. It's very possible that we might see a Sulfuric Vortex, though since Todd played a daze, basically wasted a daze,
yes,
to the last turn, he may be telegraphing that he still has another daze.
Okay, there's the Chain Lightning.
Chain Lightning, and is almost definitely targeting Todd. It looks like Ali just might have drawn all the burn cards he needs. I mean, I see another Lightning Bolt in his hand. I see a Sulfuric Vortex, another land, and there's a 4th card that, it might be just 2 Lightning Bolts.
Yes, I believe that looks like 2 Lightning Bolts in his hand. Okay, he will sacrifice the Scalding Tarn to get another mountain, putting Ali down to 15.
I think he's a little bit cautious about the daze possibility from Todd's hand, because it's very rare that you'll waste a daze without having another one. Okay, so Ali's searching for another mountain, likely having another mountain in his hand, 2 Lightning Bolts, and a Sulfuric Vortex. The extra land in his hand will allow him to actually lay the Sulfuric Vortex and avoid the daze.
You have 50 minutes. You may begin.
Ali bolts Todd. Todd does have a Force of Will, so he's going to be able to protect himself.
Brainstorm.
So
Two forces and a daze in his hand.
yeah, no, he really does have a lot of pretty good protection here, but the Nimble Mongoose is still pretty far away from Threshold. He has 4 cards, 3 cards in the graveyard. He has a Ponder, so he can basically put a 4th one. He has 2 Force of Wills, so he can get down to 6. If there's a sack land here, he can actually, like, if he uses most of his cards in hand, he'll be able to.
Is that Delver Goose Goose?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to be something he wants to keep. He needs that extra land. Well, maybe he doesn't need the extra land so much here. He may just keep the Delver to give him an extra blue card to Force Will. But he's still a little bit far off Threshold, so only presenting 4 damage here.
For those of you just joining us, we are at the quarterfinals of the SCG Invitational in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Robert Martin, joined in the booth by the Ben Sec, and you are seeing Todd Anderson with Rug Delver swinging in for 4 against Ali Aintrazi and Burn, taking him down to 11.
Active player, finish your turn. 5 additional turns.
Okay, Ali playing very smart against the
please raise your hand and
days.
call
Oh, he
for
draws a
judge.
price of progress. So all he has to do is really kind of construct the situation. He might actually try and price Todd
to open up, force Todd to use the force of will.
Yeah, he may just like wait on it. He knows he can get. He's got like probably at least 2 turns left, so he doesn't need to necessarily cast at main phase. There's the one thing is Todd has tapped a little low, meaning that he doesn't have spell pierce right now. Though spell pierce he can actually play around. He has enough. He has another land in hand. He does have enough damage, but Todd does have 2 force of wills, so.
Okay, let's see what Ali does here.
Todd does have open wasteland, so in a pinch he can actually go down to 0 lands, and so take no damage, which generally means he won't cast another spell that costs mana for the rest of the game, because there's 2 non-lands on top of his deck.
Yeah.
Lightning bolt. It's very possible that Todd's going to force this now. He's just really kind of like, okay, he's usually the general orthodoxy is to wait for the last one that kills you, but I think with having 2 force of wills, he doesn't mind kind of like staying at a little bit higher of a life, allowing him to kind of like tap a little lower with his wasteland.
That force takes Todd down to 7. Ali will drop a land. Does he think the road's open to play the price of progress now?
I think he does, and he probably will, because like, you know, if he does it now, and all Todd's defense is going to be his wasteland, it means he won't have the mana next turn. Now it would be it's actually going to be super. Oh wow, he's going to actually play the sulfuric vortex.
Okay.
Now the funny thing is, if Todd basically bounces a land with his days, and he's very likely to, he actually does not, as far as I remember, have a blue card in the next.
I believe it was Mongoose.
Yeah, he has 2 mongooses, so he's wow. So he actually gains threshold, sacks all his land. Now Ali basically has nothing here to he's going to die next turn. Yeah, no, like a really kind of like set of good plays by Todd Anderson.
Todd Anderson wins game 1.
Yeah, with some very deft uses of his free spells, like some very interesting ways of like getting to threshold too.
Okay, we're back, and as always at this point, we ask another trivia question. Again, this trivia question will not be about currently what's happening at the Invitational, but if you were listening earlier this morning, Adrian and I were talking about the person who was generally called the greatest player in Magic history. This member was also part of Team SCG Black, also teamed with Brian Kibler at the latest Magic event, and finished top 4 of that event for, is that correct, 6 months of premium, I believe, if I'm not correct. The hashtag is SCG Invitational at the bottom of the screen. Who is this person that's considered the greatest Magic player of all time?
Yeah.
Part of SCG Black, teamed with Brian Kibler at the latest Magic event, and also finished top 4 in that event. Generally considered the greatest player of all time. Not myself, probably not you, maybe Adrian, but I don't think that's possible.
Actually, this person is a good friend of mine, so I've known this player for probably almost over 12 years, and he's the real deal. So I think most of you know who this is, so it's just going to be a little bit of a race, but all you have to do is post it to #SCGINVI or
yes.
at SCG. Oh, at SCG Premium.
Yes.
The first, like, not that, SCG Premium, and the first will get 6 months of
3 months. 3 months.
Three
Sorry,
months.
3 months.
3
Apologize
months
for that.
of SCG Premium.
Generally considered the greatest player in Magic history, member of SCG Black, teamed with Brian Kibler to work on deck lists, known for his own drafts. I mean, you know you're that good when people say, come to my house to do my draft, and people come running.
Yep. Okay, so we're going to game 2. Ali barely losing that game. Todd playing very, very well to set up, basically protecting himself from Price of Progress, as well as giving him threshold for his Nimble Mongoose. Ali doesn't have a lot of cards he can bring in from the sideboard. The card probably most notable is Ensnaring Bridge. Ensnaring Bridge basically doesn't allow creatures of power greater than the cards in your hand to attack you.
But since these gentlemen both know their deck list, it could be possible that Todd Anderson, in response, might bring in his Crows and Grips on the sideboard. Maybe he brings in Envelop. Not really sure on that one. We do have an update from the floor. Dave Thomas, with Dredge, has managed to go up 2-0. Takes game 2.
Yes, so we'll
over
see
Milton Figueroa.
Yeah, so we'll see Dredge in the semifinals, and then the envelopes actually counter a significant portion of Ali's deck. It gets the Lava Spikes, gets the Chain Lightnings, gets the Rift Bolts. It probably he wants a few more cheap counter spells. I think envelop is pretty reasonable. The fact that they both know each other's sideboard, I would say there's a good chance that maybe Ali doesn't even bring in the Ensnaring Bridge to basically strand the Crows and Grips in Todd Anderson's hand. But with an Ensnaring Bridge, most of those cards cannot attack. One of the other artifacts that I was actually thinking maybe should take over Ensnaring Bridge is a Meekstone. Meekstone really has a way of putting a herder on Delver, Mongoose, and Tarmogoyf coming out of Rug Delver's deck.
We saw that yesterday in Sam Black's deck.
Yeah, it's a little cheaper. I think it really does kind of stop this deck flat. The thing it doesn't do though is it allows them to hit for one, so they basically hit once, which means they can build up these creatures, basically making them burn spells for one turn and then kind of locking them down.
Okay, we look at Ali's hand. He has 3 lands, including a fetch land, which he'll crack.
Yeah, he's definitely cracking that. I think
Grim Lavamancer is in his hand.
Yeah, for sure. So Todd actually has a Force of Will, a Ponder, a Delver, and a Nimble Mongoose, and 3 land. 3 lands actually, it's a little too much to draw, funnily enough, for a deck that runs as few land as it does.
We also have an update from the floor again. Sheen Sharani now evens it up 1-1 with Chi Ho-Yim.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a Grim Lavamancer from Ali. I wonder if Todd is going to consider forcing it, because he now knows that if he doesn't, his Delver of Secrets is going to be not very good here, and so yeah, look, and there he goes. He's going to force it with a Delver, one, to just stop the amount of damage that the Grim Lavamancer represents, but 2, also to protect what would be a dead Delver.
We also have another update from the floor. Ben Friedman 1-0 against Anthony Ethan. That's Stoneblade versus Goblins. And now we see the Rift Bolt come into play from Ali.
So Todd drew an Envelop last turn and another Force of Will. Okay, so that's interesting. So Todd actually has 4 Stifles in his deck. The funny thing is, Ali knows that he has 4 Stifles in his deck. Didn't actually decide to crack the Scalding Tarn straight away, giving Todd a chance to stifle it. But the thing that I think Todd's going to keep the Stifle for is the the Rift Bolt, what you can do is you can counter the suspend trigger from Rift Bolt, which means that the card basically remains exiled for all of time.
Well, and that will definitely put Ollie behind the clock here, because Todd's only got 2 in the graveyard, but at the rate he's going, he will easily get to 7 rather quickly with the amount of cards in his hand to hit threshold. Okay.
Alternatively, he could go envelop as well. Both those options. I think he's going to. No, he's just going to stifle it. There's fewer stifle targets than envelop targets, so I think he's going to. He's just going to put it there.
Right.
Ollie draws a card.
Another
draws a sack land.
Yes, another Scalding Tarn.
So he's probably going to. Ollie has a lot of land in hand. He has 2 more mountains at least.
And a Lightning Bolt.
Yeah, and 1 more card after that. But
2 Lightning Bolts.
But Todd Anderson only has a 1/1 Nimble Mongoose to put pressure on. He drew another Stifle. Still declines to Stone Rain with a Stifle.
Yeah, but you know what? Todd Anderson is in a position right now where he is ahead here. You know, does he? I mean, he really wants to protect himself. Like last round, had he had Stifles, that would have really helped against Rift Bolts and other cards like that that are in Ollie's deck. He knows that 3. He knows that 3 is Ollie's magic number, because he can pretty much play anything in his entire deck with 3 mana. Now, little does Todd know that he has 2 other land outside of the Lightning Bolts and what looks like the Price of Progress in his hand.
I think it's more likely that because he actually only has Rift Bolts as the stifle targets other than the land. I think it's very likely that he's keeping the stifle in hand, so he has a card to pitch for
Force of Will.
Force of Will.
Okay, Todd plays a Sulfur passes the turn with the land. Another draw step, another Lightning Bolt. That gives him 3 Lightning Bolts in hand.
So he now has 3 Lightning Bolts. Todd is at 10, essentially, if the Lightning Bolts resolve, which they won't, because there's at least 1 Force of Will. And he has a Price of Progress, which possibly can represent as much as 6 right now, and 8 if he chooses, though he could sack the Golden Tarn, fail to find if he really, really needs it, which is kind of why he decided to play it. Gives him access to 3 mana without actually like risking himself with the Price of Progress.
He just also now added a Daze to his hand on that last draw.
Yeah, Daze is actually going to be helping pretty well.
Okay. Unsure capacity. Another land. Oh, that will give.
Yeah, not particularly useful right now. Does kind of like nullify the Daze in Todd's hand.
Just says go.
Yeah, I mean, like the lucky thing is Ali isn't really on a clock. He's got a few turns. He's probably looking at the cards in his hand. Probably is looking at something like, I would say, 4 turns before, 4 or 5 turns before he's going to be in danger of dying. So he has about three draws.
Okay, that was a Brainstorm met back with a Price of Progress, met back with a Force of Will, with a Daze going into the graveyard.
Yep.
Now the Brainstorm hits. It gives Todd 5 now in the graveyard.
Wow, that's actually, the Brainstorm's really quite important. Allows him to shuffle away some of the less vital cards.
And he has another Brainstorm there in hand.
Yeah, the only issue with sacking the Tarn right now is, does he actually want to find another land? Because if he does, it means he's exposed to 6 damage. I'm surprised actually that he pitched the Daze rather than the Stifle. The Daze actually allows him to pick up a land in response basically to a Price of Progress, like again kind of reducing his exposure to to that card.
He does have a Spell Pierce now in hand also, along with the Brainstorm, along with the Stifle.
The Spell Pierce?
Yes. Okay, looks like he's going to Brainstorm again.
Yeah. So he brainstorms again, basically only wanting to use the sack once. Doesn't really love the Stifle in his hand probably, but oh, he's kept the Stifle in his hand. He's cracking it.
Yeah, because he's got 2 lands he put on top there. So.
Yeah, he's basically trying to get Threshold this turn to ensure that he has, at the very least, has him on a 5-turn clock. Probably on a 4-turn clock, if you consider like either a Lightning Bolt happening or a sack land happening on Ali's side.
As you know, right now he has currently 7 in the graveyard to activate Threshold.
So Todd does what I expected him to do, basically fail to find, reducing the amount of land available. He draws a Fire Blast. So with the 3 Lightning Bolts in his hand, the Fire Blast represents 13 damage, which actually puts Todd on an effective 4. With no hard counters other in play.
There's 1 Lightning Bolt.
I think he's just like making sure that while he's tapped out, he's like putting a little bit of pressure onto.
Welcome to round
2 Lightning Bolts.
2. You have 50 minutes. You may begin.
Todd's probably really scared right now that he's actually in danger of dying on the spot after tapping out.
Well, he is.
And I mean, he has every right to. If there's a Price of Progress here, a Fire Blast, and another Bolt, he's so Ali's basically making sure he's using land every turn. Oh, that's actually a pretty good draw. Having what the Wasteland does is just gives him a little bit more protection from Price of Progress.
He will swing in. Oh, he's going to use it right away.
He's going to use it right away. Basically, again, that's fairly aggressive. Doing it right now. I think he's just doing it while Ali does not. He thinks that Ali doesn't have the Price of Progress, and he can be beaten by a response.
Okay, another land for Ali.
Yeah, so I think he can't afford to sack that land. I mean, because he's at 7, it basically shortens the clock by 1. Ali needs just a 4 damage spell, but it can't be a sorcery because. Oh wow! This is he drew a Lightning Bolt. That's a huge draw. It basically stops 1 turn. So
Next turn.
Ali has 1 turn basically to win this game here. Oh, he sacks it, puts it down. Oh, that's
in response.
Yeah, he's just
in
got a
response,
bolt.
Lightning Bolt.
Wow! There's no reason why he should have. I think he should have just possibly waited until or played the mountain instead of the sack land.
Well, that would put Todd Anderson 2-0 against Ali Aintrazi here.
Okay, so just been these matches are actually a best of 5. So actually, it's certainly not over, and David Thomas isn't into the finals, into the semifinals yet.
No, he's not yet. But right now, thank you for watching. We are currently at the Star City Games Opens Invitational. We're at the quarterfinals of the Invitational. You are watching Todd Anderson playing Rug Delver, up 2-0 against Ali Aintrazi and Burn. I'm Robert Martin. I am joined in the booth by Ben Seck, who's been giving you non-stop quality legacy commentary as we go along during this match. We will give you updates as soon as we get them in the booth here to let you know what's going on in the other matches. We have a wonderful staff here this weekend that's been working really hard to get us as much information as possible. Even the event coordinator himself, Jared Silva, even coming by giving us updates as we go along. Thanks to them and all their hard work this weekend, and for you at home for watching, because without you watching,
doesn't make any sense for us being
here.
Okay, so Todd Anderson taking a commanding 2-0 lead in the best of 5, really going against kind of what I thought was going to happen in this match. But the one thing that I'm realizing, Todd is really aware of Ali's what his reach is at any point. He's playing very carefully, making sure he doesn't expose himself to the Price of Progress unnecessarily. He's really kind of just making sure that every damage counts. Every counterspell is like targeting the right thing. And I mean, I think one of the big things about like burn decks is that I think a lot of people don't realize what their reach is, what they can cast, what the plan is. This deck is fairly well known. The deck list, I mean, he definitely knows the deck list now after reading it, but Patrick Sullivan's deck list is pretty simple. There's a lot of 4-ofs, a couple 3-ofs, but the sideboard and the main deck offer no surprises. So all you have to do is just make sure you don't leave yourself open at the wrong time.
But even Patrick said, the deck may seem simple to put together, but it's very difficult to play correctly.
Yeah.
And considering he is considered, quote, the red mage right now of Magic, when it comes to that, yeah, I mean, it may look simple, and this is a very inexpensive deck to put together. It's a very reasonably cost legacy deck. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the easiest one to play.
Oh, absolutely not one of the easiest one to play. But I actually think that a lot of the wins are determined by how well the opponent knows his way around that deck. It's all about like whether they give themselves exposure to price of progress, whether they like daze the right thing, whether they actually tap out at the right time. There's all these little ins and outs. Very much kind of like, I think Patrick Sullivan talks about like a boxing match. It's like a lot of ducking and weaving and then a flurry of punches at the end.
Now, last game, unfortunately, Ali did draw an awful lot of lands. And he had, I believe, 6 on the board at the end of the match, including another one in his hand. And Burn needs 3 at the most to be able to do what it needs to do. Maybe a 4th for the blast. But otherwise, outside of that, 3 is a very, very good number.
Yeah, so Ali's going first. The tough thing now, this is going to be the last game he's going to get to go first. Just because he's lost one, he lost another one on the play.
All right, we see
he's declined to play anything. There's a Tarmogoyf, 2 envelops. Obviously, Todd grabbing probably a tropical island here.
I believe I saw a Stifle in there too.
Yeah.
The first mix of cards he had there real quick.
Not sure if he has a creature available to him. It looks like he does. Oh no, he's a Ponder. He actually doesn't look like he has a second land. Oh, there's 2 more.
2 lands and a Force Will there.
Yeah, so but no red ones. So if not that he takes the Force of Will.
Okay, it looks like he drew a Lightning Bolt there that gives him 2 Lightning Bolts. It looks like a Lava Spike in his hand.
Yeah, here's an Ensnaring Bridge. So
yes.
Unless Todd is he's probably going to Force of Will that Ensnaring Bridge the way that the game is going.
Okay, there's a Tarmogoyf.
Tarmogoyf is 2/3. Oh, so Ali brought in the Vexing Shusher, which is actually like pretty huge now, because if he draws another land, he can actually protect the bridge coming down, and there's nothing Todd can do about it. Though Todd does have a Lightning Bolt for the Shusher.
Brainstorm. Oh, there we go.
Didn't have the red mana, but actually just got it with 2 options at it. He can either take the Volcanic, or he can. Okay.
Okay, we have another update from the floor. Chin Ho Yim up 2 games to nothing.
Yeah, so that's Miracles over Stoneblade. I actually no, it's 2-1.
Oh, 2-1?
Yep.
Okay.
So Chi Ho Yim playing Miracles over Shaheen Surani playing Stoneblade. So they're going into game 4.
Making us both look bad because we both had Shireen there, but it's still only game 3 of 5. Okay, Lightning Bolt.
Nothing in his hand that really stops that except for the Force of Will, and I don't think he's going to.
Okay.
Yeah, he has 2 Ensnaring Bridges in hand, so actually that Ensnaring Bridge is very likely to
There's a Grim Lavamancer.
If this doesn't get countered, I can really, really see the first Ensnaring Bridge trying to come down, which will... Oh, wow, he doesn't even cast it.
Swings in for 4, taking Ollie to 11. And a Nimble Mongoose, which is not at threshold.
Yeah, so it doesn't... chooses not to stifle that... again, saving the stifles for now what is can be like a Grim Lavamancer activation. So that makes sense a lot because at least there's an onboard way of stopping damage.
All right. Again, for those of you just joining us, I'm Robert Martin, joined by Ben Seck. You are watching the quarterfinals of the SCG Invitational in Atlanta, Georgia. Todd Anderson up 2-0 with Tarmogoyf, Nimble Mongoose on the board. 5 in the thing to not have threshold yet. Ali Aintrazi playing Burn with Grim Lavamancer and 4 mountains on the thing.
Wow, so like Todd...
Here we go, Ensnaring Bridge.
So there's a Force of Will for this Ensnaring Bridge. Now, we do know that Ali has another Ensnaring Bridge and he has a Price of Progress. Now, what this basically means is unless there's another Force of Will, or maybe a Spell Pierce coming in next turn, he will be able to get down the bridge.
And he does not have that in his hand.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be able to get down the bridge. But the problem is now, Ali is going to go down to 2. He may actually want to chump with the Lavamancer simply for the fact that he doesn't want to go within 1 spell's range of Todd. One lightning bolt would finish him off.
Yes, and that happened last time he took himself down from 4 to 3. Todd had the lightning bolt and did hit him for the game win.
Yeah, and I mean, keeping up at 7 mean it basically allows Ali to survive 2 lightning bolts. I mean, if he's really all in on the bridge, I understand wanting to keep it. One of the things I think is that you're going to be able to draw. Oh wow, he's just going to
hit him directly. Oh,
so yeah, he makes it a little smaller. Oh, so he stops that. So he only gets that. That's actually a really good play. Basically, it means he only takes 6. He's now 2 spells away from.
Okay.
Now the bridge comes down, and Todd does not have any answer available to him right now. And what that means is that that Todd basically only has Croson Grip if he brought it in, and we haven't actually seen it in his hand any of the games. So
at 12 o'clock. If you'd like to play, please come see me at the invitational stage in the draft open area.
So he gets stifled again, the burn spell.
Okay,
so there's going to be a lava spike, probably enveloped by Todd.
Seems like every time Ali plays something, there's another answer for it.
He's got to be careful about like not pricing right now, and he is going to just price right now. The reason why it'd be dangerous not to is if he draws a wasteland, he pretty much can't stop it.
Okay, he draws a daze though.
Yep.
In comes another Tarmogoyf.
Okay, so like Todd is really on a clock here. I think a single burn spell is going to kill him. Let's see what he draws here. Pretty much anything of relevance kills Todd.
Okay.
He's gonna do. Yep.
Ali Anderson takes Aintrazi takes game 3 to push this to game 4.
So really, that game was kind of decided by Ensnaring Bridge. Like Todd couldn't mount any more offense. Only had two outs, basically 2 Croson Grips to deal with the Ensnaring Bridge.
Looks like Todd's going to the sideboard.
Yeah, they were playing a little bit of a guessing game. The good thing about this for Ali is that the only targets he really has is Ensnaring Bridge. So if he draws them,
that was Patrick Sullivan sticking his head in there, wanting wanting Ali to keep going, as you saw in the background. He was watching his match.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's kind of like, if he brings it in, it's one of these kind of like chicken situations for sideboarding. They both know they have like a card, and the card is only good against each other, essentially. The good thing about it for Ali is that I think the Ensnaring Bridge just buys him time for every turn that he doesn't have the Crossing Grip. So Ali's probably just going to keep him in there.
And there are times, the problem with bringing in the Crossing Grip is that if it's in Todd's hand and Ali does not have the Ensnaring Bridge out there, it's dead to him.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It does nothing for him. There's no alternatives for that card or anything like that at all.
And one of the tough things about, I think, Crossing Grip is it's green. Not because it's particularly like, you know, green's like a hard mana for him to get. It's actually much more that he can't force a will it. It doesn't do anything unless the bridge is out. It costs 3 mana, so he has to kind of keep it open. Otherwise, he sometimes just loses a whole turn.
And as you've seen, Todd's kept his mana very low.
Yeah.
And he's even in a couple of 2 games ago, he used his own Wasteland to make sure he was down to 1 land, so the Price of Progress would not hurt him from Ali.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a very, very interesting kind of like ducking and weaving that Todd needs to do to make sure that he's not going to be in burn range. That being said, the mono red deck, it has to play a very interesting kind of game where it's essentially not exposing itself to Daze and Spell Pierce and Stifle, and there's a bunch of different kind of, and Force of Will. There's a bunch of different like counter spells in Todd's deck that force him to basically, you know, play a little differently.
Okay, we have update from the floor. Nelson Figueroa takes game 3 to make that 2-1 in David Thomas ahead.
Yeah, so Milton is playing Reanimator versus that Dredge deck. Reanimator does have a chance of like just winning out of nowhere. I mean, you can essentially put a turn 2 Gristlebrand into play, like really, really easily. All you need is like 2 cards. You just need an Entomb and a Reanimation spell, either Animate Dead or Exhume if he happens to be playing that.
All right. Looks like both men are getting ready to go here after a couple of shuffles. That's the one beautiful thing about the events like this, when you have 5 games to play. Even down 2-0, it doesn't put you impossible. The odds are not impossible against you to come back.
No, absolutely. Gives the sideboard cards actually a chance to like be a little bit more important. Allows you to kind of like learn the match as you play it. There's a lot of like cool things that happen in a 5-game match that are not available to a 3-game match. But funnily enough, there's not actually that many sideboard cards that are relevant. Just Envelope comes in for Todd for sure. Now probably Crossing Grip, and only Ensnaring Bridge from Ali.
All right, we see a Spell Pierce. Looks like 2 Spell Pierces, a Ponder.
Yeah, it's 2 Ponders, 2 Spell Pierces. Only blue cards, only 1 land. I think Todd is going to keep it, even though I think he has no threats. That's the only dangerous thing about that deck. But like when you have Ponder,
Ponder can solve a lot of problems quickly.
Absolutely. So 3 lands. He probably doesn't want those.
Yeah. Wasteland, and
and another tropical island. So it doesn't even present another color to him. Not even a sack land to reset it. I would definitely shuffle that one away.
Todd's very happy to get rid of that.
So it's a Crossing Grip and a Daze.
So he did bring in the Crossing Grips, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I think he's kind of he has to. He really, really doesn't like deal with that situation well. Draws another Force of Will, so he's still short on mana and threats. Okay, just plays the land. Only Nimble Mongoose, and still short on land.
Well, Ali's not short on land, as you can see here. 2 fetch lands in his hand.
Yeah, I think he goes with the fetch land because he's kind of baiting. Like, oh, there's sack land. That's what he definitely needed. he's kind of baiting the stifle from Todd. Just like, you know, I know you have stifle. I want you to try and stone my land for 1 blue mana, but he isn't really like worried about that. Only 1 damage from that goose so far, though there's plenty of instants and land that they're going to hit the deck soon.
Okay. Ali down to 18 now.
Ali also having a little bit of a slow draw. I mean, hasn't really used any of his mana for 2 turns, which is actually a huge deal. It's the one thing that can happen in a burn deck is that you draw clunkily enough that you can't cast all your spells throughout the game.
Okay, Ali passed his turn.
Todd's hand has gotten considerably better in the last few turns. Now has a Tarmogoyf as another threat, has a Force of Will as an additional backup.
Looks like Ali has up to 3 lands in his hand. Additional lands. Okay. Draws another land.
Draws another land. I think he's getting punished for the fact that he's playing a mixture of full art and half art lands.
We have another update from the floor. Ben Friedman up 2-0 over Anthony Eason.
Yeah, this is kind of going the way that I expected. Stoneblade has a good combination of like powerful threats against goblins. It has Stoneforge Mystic, getting Jitte, as well as Swords to Plowshares. Those two sets of cards actually make it really hard for goblins to kind of like mount an offense, unless they just go off with an early lackey.
Well, I talked to Anthony Eason a couple times this weekend, and he's just so excited to make it this far. I mean, Anthony Eason, a very, very good player, just really enjoys it. And his comment was, I wish it was a standard final. I mean, he would have said I was much more comfortable in standard, but you know.
Yeah, no, Anthony Eason, well known for making the national team a few years ago when Josh Adelaiden was the US champion.
Okay, there comes the Tarmogoyf.
Tarmogoyf. I think Ali is in real trouble here. Hasn't really done any damage. The Tarmogoyf is down. I think the Tarmogoyf is 3/4. That's what the board tells us.
Another land.
Really heavy land draw. He has a Fire Blast. I can't see exactly all the cards.
Looked like maybe a lightning bolt.
Yeah, but like a lot of land in his hand, and Todd has a few counterspells. Another Spell Pierce, a Force of Will, Croson Grip.
The Wasteland now to protect himself against the Price of Progress.
Wow, he really just does not want to get priced.
That gets his Nimble Mongoose.
Yep, yeah, definitely gets his Nimble Mongoose up the threshold. So hits him for 6. Basically makes the clock 2 turns from now.
Yep. Ali will sacrifice the land, taking him down to 10, not 0.
Yeah. And so there's 2 turns that Ali has. The problem is he really needs to make them count. He only has 2 draw steps that are super relevant here, and he has to fight through at least 1 Force of Will. And possibly a Spell Pierce, though I think the Spell Pierce is going down in value merely for the fact that Ali is a really land screwed. So he actually has end of turn he's going to basically just fire off a Searing Blaze just to get the 3 damage to the opponent, because it doesn't kill anything.
Todd does not use the Force of Will on it.
Yeah, or the Spell Pierce. I mean, he could have actually Spell Pierce if you really... Wow, another land. But he does have 2 Fire Blasts in hand, so... but I think that's it, though. He has 3 more land and 2 Fire Blasts. And with 2 turns, he really couldn't afford to draw land there.
Like, Todd could play another Volcanic Island if
Yeah,
he chooses to, but I don't think he will. I think he's very content right now where he's at. He's got the spells in hand to cast in case Ali comes up with something here. Down to 4, 1 more turn.
Attention players, we only need 1 more person to
So he has 12 damage.
Oh.
Not enough.
Well, congratulations to Todd Anderson winning 3 games to 1 over Aintrazi with Burn.
Yeah.
Todd Anderson now on to the semifinals.